Hello, I'm State Senator Randy Richardville, representing the 17th District, which is all of Monroe County, southern Washtenaw County, and southeastern Jackson County. Welcome to our show. Today we're going to be talking about the Michigan College Savings Programs. We have a special guest, Robyn Lott from the Michigan Education Trust, and Renee Hill from Michigan Education Savings Program. So tuition at Michigan colleges and universities have increased an average of over 7% for the last 20 years. Regardless of economic conditions, the costs of college are not likely to go down soon. We all know that a college degree is more important than ever in making sure our children have more opportunities in the future, especially in a very difficult job market, not only here in the state of Michigan, but around the country. Saving for colleges may sometimes seem overwhelming, but of course, paying for college is attainable. And Michigan has two great plans to help make it affordable to start saving, and it's easy to manage. The Michigan Education Trust, and we'll refer to that as the MET, and the Michigan Education Savings Plan, MESP, are Michigan's official 529 plans and offer tax advantages for Michigan families. Today we have two experts that we'll be talking to. Robyn Lott, who is the director of the Michigan Education Trust, and as I mentioned before, Renee Hill, the program manager of Michigan Education Savings Plans. So thanks for both of you to being here today.
Sure, thank you.
Well, Robyn, you and I have worked together in the past when I was on the board of the Michigan Education Trust, in between my time in the House and my time in the Senate. But if you would, could you explain what a 529 plan is?
Sure. 529 is really the number of the Internal Revenue Code that gives tax exemption status to two types of programs, one being a prepaid tuition program, which is our MET program, or an investment-based savings program, which is MESP. MET, being the prepaid program, was the first in the nation and allows parents, grandparents, or others to lock in today's college tuition. They're buying credit hours at today's rate. We're pooling the funds together for investment purposes and paying out tuition and mandatory fees for a child to attend any Michigan public college, or also portable if a child goes out of state or in-state private.
You said that Michigan was the first in the country to institute a program like this. I know you're too young to have been around during that period of time, but if you could refer to some of the history, can you tell us how it got started, where it all came from?
Actually, yes. Governor Blanchard was in office, and Bob Bowman, who was the state treasurer at the time, came up with the idea. And they basically rolled out an opportunity they wanted to give parents more incentive to get involved with helping their children go to college. And so they came up with the Michigan Education Trust, the prepaid program, and gave the parents a tax deduction for the amount they save. Now at the time we had to go to the IRS for internal revenue ruling to make sure that the trust would be tax-free. We wanted it to be tax-deferred growth for students so they wouldn't have to pay tax as they were going or as they were investing or saving. And we were granted that status. So that was back in 1987. 86 is when the law actually passed, but we offered the first round of contracts to the public in 1988. Really big year.
Yeah, I guess that is a really big year. Can you explain a little bit how the Michigan Education Trust works then?
Sure.
Let's say that I've got young children. My children are relatively young, but I'm at a different stage than some of the people that may be interested in employing this program. Can you tell how a young couple might get started?
Sure. You would first go online, go to our website and just do a little research, if you will. But at the end of the day, you're going to have three contract options. We have a full benefits contract, a limited benefits, and a community college. Of those contract options, you can purchase as little as 1 semester of tuition benefits, or as much as 4 years of tuition benefits. And that means the 1 year equivalent is like 30 credit hours if your child goes to a Michigan public college. So you buy it at today's rate, might be $11,000 for 1 year full benefits today. When your child goes to U of M or MSU or Oakland, that 1 year contract is equivalent to 30 credit hours at the in-state tuition rate. So you won't pay any additional funds for that contract if you purchased it lump sum. And when your child goes, whatever the cost is at the in-state rate is what MET will pay.
And historically, has the inflation rate exceeded or fallen behind the increase in tuition over a period of, say, the last 15, 20 years?
The last 15, actually last 21 years that MET's been in place, we recalculate average tuition, or I'm sorry, the average tuition increase every year. And we've come up with about 7.3%. It's either been 7%, 7.2, it's always been in that realm of 7.3, 7.5%.
And inflation rate has probably been somewhere maybe around a third of that, maybe 2.5% to 3% at the, is that about right?
At the public college, it's 7.3%.
No, I'm talking about the inflation on all other consumer goods.
Yeah.
In other words, tuition is going up faster than what the cost of living is in general. So that makes this a good investment, not only because of the tax implications, but also because those prices are going up faster than what the other typical costs are, right?
Yes,
did I get that right?
You did, yes.
Okay.
Indeed.
I'm a little slow sometimes,
No,
so you're going to have to work
you're
with
on
me.
target.
All right. So, Renee, now, can you tell us a little bit then about how MESP is different from the Michigan Education Trust?
MESP is similar to a 401k for college education, except the tax benefits work a little bit different. With MESP, it's a savings program, so you're not locking in the cost of anything. You're more so just putting dollars aside, tax-free, to pay for college education. And you can use MESP anywhere in the nation, and you can use it for a variety of expenses: tuition, room and board, books, fees, required equipment, even a laptop if that's required. So unlike MET, where you're kind of giving that guarantee and that peace of mind, that security in locking in your tuition and mandatory fees, MESP can help you not only with tuition, but also the room and board costs and required equipment and supplies. Laptops can be up to a couple $1,000s. Robyn and I really are big proponents of using both programs.
Okay, so you get to decide how much you want to save in advance with MESP. Did I get that part?
You can start with a minimum of $25, and you can contribute anytime you want to. And anyone can contribute to your plan. So whether it's a mom and dad, a grandma and grandpa, a relative, a friend, that's why our minimum is so low, so it makes a great gift. You can set up an automatic contribution plan, send in checks when you want to.
Okay. Now, Robyn filled us in a little bit on the history of the Michigan Education Trust. Can you tell us a little bit of history of the savings plan? Were we the first in the country to do that, too?
We weren't the first in the country, but we're one of the best in the country.
We're still the best, though, right? Yeah, okay. As long as we're best, I'm all right. That's good.
We actually have one of the lowest feed programs in the nation, which we're very proud of. And the great thing about Michigan's 529 plans, because we do have two, not every state has two 529 plans. And with these two particular programs, what's most important to know from a Michigan taxpayer perspective is that there is a state tax deduction for contributions to both programs. And that's a big benefit. Unlike a regular savings or checking account for college, you're not getting it tax-free, but then you're not going to get that state tax deduction by contributing as well.
Okay, explain how the tax deduction works.
The tax deduction, it's at least with MESP, and I'll let Robyn speak to Matt.
Okay.
The MESP is up to $10,000 per year that you can deduct off of your state income tax return if you're married filing joint. And if you're single, it's up to $5,000 per year. So for example, our state income tax rate's around 3.9%. If you put in $10,000 and you're married filing joint, you could save about $390 off of your state income tax return.
Okay, well now, if I remember correctly, it was either 2007 or 2008, the personal income tax in Michigan went up from 3.9%, I think, to 4.35%, if I'm not mistaken. Not that I'm aware of. I was hoping it would, because it was. I think it was
more incentive
about 10 years ago. I think it was my bill that lowered the tax, income tax, to 3.9%. Actually, from 4.4 to 4.3. But I'm digressing. My point was that if it's 4.35%, it's even more incentive now because you're getting a bigger tax refund than you would have before that happened.
Absolutely. MESP's been around since 2000. You asked a little bit about the history. So unlike MET, which was the first 529 plan, we came out when savings, 529 college savings plan were becoming more popular around the country. And we've been around since 2000, and we have close to $2 billion in assets already.
$2 billion with a B?
Yes.
Wow.